Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, EM tells me I can't use sign language at home because she won't learn it. Entitled parents are forcing me to change my daughter's name. Update: I cut ties with EP after I refused to change my daughter's name. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM tells me I can't use sign language at home because she won't learn it. This is about my adoptive mother. My adoptive parents are British citizens who moved to my country in the EU. They adopted me actually expecting mental disabilities, but I was just profoundly deaf. You would think that would be easier. So I grow up, I get enrolled in deaf schools where I learn sign language. But my mother decides it's too hard for her to learn sign language, and actually bans me from using it in the house. I had to mime or point at things until I could start writing, upon which I carried around a notebook everywhere. If I did try to sign, I was called disrespectful for not including her in the conversation. In a strange way, this made my written language skills very good, as well as my lip reading skills, which many deaf people have challenges with. It was very difficult and upsetting living with her. My adoptive father was nice, but he just listened to whatever she wanted, so he became a bad parent too. I went to university and limited contacting them. The one time I tried to visit them for the holidays, I returned to a house with a stranger family. My adoptive parents had moved back to Britain without telling me. Who does that? The one time I tried to visit them for the holidays, I returned to a house with a stranger family. Why would they even adopt a child in first place just to treat it this way? Like SRSLY, how much of an asshole does someone have to be to act this way towards their child? Some families adopt for praise/attention from their social/religious group. They use them for appearances but don't really care about the child's best interest. If they adopted expecting mental disabilities, maybe they just wanted the child for the state support, money. As a deaf person myself, I can't believe EM just bans sign language in the house just because it's too hard. I'm hard of hearing, I grew up oral, and never ever sign around my family. I can hear good, speak well, and lips read well. When I was in 6th grade, I had to join deaf class because I was behind being in Special Ed with no deaf supports. My grandmother who raised me was very upset that I am joining the deaf class. I asked her why. She said, I do not belongs with them. She, herself have no acknowledge any deaf cultures or even try to learn it. WTF. Today, I am 45 years old, and this still affect me. I barely have any deaf friends because I feel I don't fit, and most of it that I do not belongs because I'm not in their clique. I do sign though, and have no one to talk to in signing. I am feeling alone. I am from the US. This is how murders are made. Good luck staying sane. On behalf of the sensible people Britain, I am sorry you had to put up with that bullshit. I shudder to think how they would have treated a child with a more debilitating mental disability. I know. My mother was openly disappointed I was more capable than she expected. It was so weird. Forget them, I'll be your mom and dad now. That's incredibly sh*TTY of them. Can I join you in the adoption? I will be either mom or dad. I'm the manager of a deaf center in the UK. If you ever decide to come to Britain, you are very welcome to come and join our community and say a big F you to those arseholes. Who does that? People who thought they had ordered a cute mentally disabled, easily manipulated, fashion accessory? Imagine their surprise when you ended up going to university. You know, just plain awful people. Sorry you didn't have the loving parents you deserve, you didn't have a choice in that. I hope you can now surround yourself with people who love you and treat you right. Entitled parents are forcing me to change my daughter's name. My EF called a couple days ago and demanded that my daughter's name have my maiden name. For context, I am ethnically Filipino but a second-gen immigrant, as I immigrated when I was 6 years old. Filipino tradition is such that the child's middle name must be the mother's maiden name. For example, my mother's maiden is Smith, fake, therefore, my middle name is Smith. My daughter had just graduated HS and my parents received a picture of her diploma. When they looked at the photo, they realized it did not have their last name / my maiden name on it. They were very upset. Given that me and my husband are culturally American but ethnically Filipino, husband is like half, we decided to give her a new name for her middle name and have her hold her father's last name. I was also forced to have a hyphenated last name. Even though I wanted my husband's last name, I conceded on having both names since my parents paid for my education. It's hell to deal with even to this day. EF complained and demanded that I change her name. I told them we are Americans and live in America, including my parents, therefore, we will use what is culturally appropriate. He told me he does not care about the American way and that I am turning my back on the right, Filipino, way. My daughter is already 18 years old. I can't legally do anything regarding her name anymore. I had told him that, but he yelled and demanded I must get it done. Not my daughter, me. And I better, or else. Personally, I have a myriad of reasons why I don't want my daughter to have my maiden name. A lot of issues such as FAFSA, schooling, and even inheritance could also be on the line if she were to change her name. Plus, she just doesn't want a different name. My daughter said no, and both husband and I agree with her. Later that night, she called them and told them, very nicely, that she will in no way change her name. The only reason she would is if she gets married in the future. EF threw a fit on the phone and she ignored him and hung up. They haven't spoken to me since. I want to talk to my parents again, but if they're going to throw a fit over a name and continuously be upset, especially over a name they knew about for 18 years, then I will cut ties. I hope they get their act together. Edit, I read comments that my title was misleading / clickbait. I do agree, but I don't think I can change it. It wasn't something I intentionally decided, but this issue is still currently going on ATM. Other family members have gotten involved and things are very chaotic right now. The fact they never noticed for 18 years shows how little they actually cared for you or your daughter. If it mattered that much, they would have asked about it sooner. Exactly, they should have given a shit to pay attention nearly 2 decades earlier if they didn't want to sound extra foolish for asking at all. It's like, get over it, it's been like this for 18 years, the time to be petty has long passed. Yeah. Even my mom asked me what my children middle names was when she first asked for their name. And we was VLV at the time. The fact it took them over 18 years to notice shows they don't care past that they get their way. They can demand all they want, but that doesn't mean you have to give in to them even if you could. At 18 your daughter rightfully told them to kick rocks. If they want to have a hissy over it, then at least you won't have to listen to it since they're not speaking to you. Enjoy the silence. Not even a hissy over the name, but Op's father threw a hissy fit at his own granddaughter. First, congratulations on raising your daughter to have a backbone. I'd have never had the courage to hang up on my grandparents like that. If she can keep that inner strength, she will go far in life. Second, you chose not to follow a tradition that you found bothersome, maybe even offensive. That's fine. No reason to apologize. Stay strong. And give your daughter a high five from me. My youngest took offense at something my dad said to her. She was 4 at the time and he was getting carried away teasing her. So, she kicked him in the shins with her boots. He laughed, but it was clear that it hurt. So, she kicked him again, even harder. It was the last time he gave her a hard time. She is almost 40 now and still has the same backbone. Respect your elders unless they don't respect you. He's 18 years too late. Are you saying that in the last 18 years he's never heard or seen her middle name? Maybe they just assumed her name would be traditional and hearing her full name never clicked with them? I would like to know how they didn't know too. I expect EPs just assumed. It's not like your middle name comes up a lot other than on official documents. Your parents sound like very narcissistic people. Just ignore them. Your daughter has decided, and they can't do anything about it. Your daughter is 18 years old and they are only noticing what her full name is now? That is actually rather funny. If they are going to continue throwing temper tantrums over it, I would say that them not talking to you is a win for you. Enjoy the peace and quiet. Wait, they just noticed this. Your daughter is 18, how did they not know her full name? 18 years? They had 18 years to make this a problem, and they do it now? Very strange, and very entitled when no one involved wants/cares about the name except them. Just FYI, I am Australian, and while it is definitely not a cultural thing to do here, my mother did give my sister and I her maiden name as a third middle name. I have subsequently kept using the name, where my sister hasn't. My brother got a third middle name from my father's side of the family that every male for like 6 generations had, until my grandparents skipped my dad. Third middle name? How many names do you have? Would Ashley Rose Sarah Smith Turner be an example? Sorry, that's confusing to me. I have 3 names all day. Update: I cut ties with EP after I refused to change my daughter's name. About a year ago, I made a post about how my parents were threatening our relationship because of my daughter's name. Since then, much more has happened. Last year, after my daughter graduated high school and turned 18 years old, my Filipino parents were upset that her middle name wasn't my maiden name. This is a part of a Filipino culture that our family has taken a part of. When my daughter was born, my husband and I gave her her own middle name instead of my maiden last name. My parents, who have called her by her actual legal middle name since she was born, were upset after looking at her high school diploma. Why hadn't they realized before? Still beats me. They called demanding that I change her name or else. Obviously I didn't want to, and legally I couldn't anyway. My daughter called them later that night and said no. My EF screamed at her and she hung up. Since then, there has been a lot of unraveling. I tried my best to hear them out. After speaking to my parents, they believe that because daughter has her own middle name, I am turning my back on my own family and being Filipino. EF said that because daughter is his granddaughter, then his name should be on that diploma. Now after this, we can all guess what he really means. He just wants to take credit for daughter graduating high school and going to a pretty good college and her further accomplishments as she gets older. EF also attacked husband as well. EF believes that husband is some sort of authoritarian figure to me and daughter, saying she is your daughter, too. Which basically is implying that husband is trying to take over our entire marriage. In reality, I am the one in charge. I am in charge of all the taxes, cleaning, and cooking. Husband literally just goes to work. I like it this way. In the past, EF had argued with me that I took husband's car to the body shop. EF also threw a fit because I take the trash out. EF keeps telling me that those are tasks a man should do, not the mother/wife. As said again, I like being in charge of everything. Plus some context, my husband suffered from a terrible infection back in 2020. This has caused him to have issues with him being able to balance and walk well. So even then, husband can't do those tasks EF complained about. EF also believes that husband is faking his disability, saying he's stronger than he looks. EP have also complained about my daughter, unhappy with the way she dresses and how she isn't helping. For context, my daughter dresses like a normal teenager. Yes, she'll wear a crop top, but all kids dress like that. Though I don't entirely like it, I also understand that this is the fashion for her generation and that when the time comes, I trust that she will dress appropriately. They were unhappy that her white graduation dress, that would be covered by her graduation gown, was backless. EP were also upset that her mid-drift was showing another time. While bashing my husband for not helping, they also bashed daughter too. Again, I like it this way and I like being in charge of everything. I truly understand how my parents feel about me, my marriage, and daughter, saying something just doesn't feel right. After hearing from my parents, I cut ties with them. I don't call them or visit. This year, they are celebrating their 50th anniversary, but I, their only daughter and child, am not coming. I know I am going to hear shit from my tita about not planning it, but it's not her concern. They sound ridiculous. Honestly, you can't really reason with people like this. You either bow to their wishes, stick up for yourself and family tolerating their behavior when attending family gatherings, or set a boundary with NC. They don't come across as remotely able to respect any type of boundary, no matter how small. Absolute nonsense drama. We are starting new traditions that fit our family. This. Good Lord, half the planet hates each other over old traditions and religion. Do whatever you want. No matter what you do, someone will be mad. So just do what blows your own hair back. Since you're so unhappy with the choices that my husband, daughter, and I make, we will no longer subject you to our obviously disappointing presence. You're now free to enjoy your life without us. Hey man, Filipina to Filipina, only child to only child, congrats to both of us for cutting ties and setting boundaries. Glad you went no contact. It is hard to break the cultural expectations, but glad you did. I bet there's going to be some relatives saying stuff like your parents are not going to be around forever, which is such a dumb thing to say. If your parents are the ones who have started drama, then they should be the ones to stop it. This is very crazy, lol. My husband is Filipino and our kids have their own middle names. I'm Vietnamese and that's our tradition also, but whatever, lol. Good show. I cut all contact with my narcissistic family decades ago and love my drama-free life. No regrets whatsoever. I'm happy for you. The only controlling people were them and not you. You don't need that drama in your life. Dressing toxicity as a cultural expectation doesn't make it any less toxic. You should have been listened to, their loss. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.